Good morning, sir.
All right, it's on. What's up? We're
I
just
don't
talking
know,
about the
man.
van, man. That you're.
Yeah,
I wonder if you should explain why you're sitting in a van down by the river
yeah,
or down by the
yeah,
water.
yeah, down by the ocean.
Yeah,
Yeah, oh yeah, dude, I love it. I mean, I'm always broadcasting from the Sprinter because there's no telling where I'm going to be. But it's kind of funny though when I stay in here. I'm in this thing in a busy month. I might be in here, traveling. I don't know, 8 to 10 days a month or so, thereabouts, and built for working on my markets and stuff. And but when I come home, so I actually live in a tiny house too. So we're in a 400 square foot house. It's not as tiny as it's just the floor plan. It's got
yeah. I hear
big,
you.
giant, tall ceilings and lofts and bedroom, big kitchen, full bathroom, walk-in showers, the whole 9 yards. And but it's kind of funny when I get out of the truck, if I'm here in the Sprinter, me and Lemmy, my dog, we come out of here and then walk into the tiny house. It feels like a damn mansion.
That's funny. And you went from like we should get to your story, but before I start,
Yeah.
man, let me. I got a surprise for you.
Oh,
To work on my problem.
okay.
You ready?
I'm ready.
Let's see if it works, man.
We're gonna have we're gonna have to hire a police officer in Portugal to come over there and handcuff you for every.
Oh my God, man, it's too much, man. So
that's
all right.
awesome.
So yeah, so tell me, you were, you tell your story. I told mine yesterday, but I definitely want to hear the part about the how you got to where you are sitting right this minute, because that's a whole story in itself. But go ahead, man.
It has been quite a wild ride. So if I had to start at the beginning, it's going to start with my mom. I think my mom's been a hairdresser for 50 plus years, and but she used to own her own shop, and even before she owned her own shop, she kind of, one of the reasons she chose that profession was, she can do whatever she wants. She makes her own schedule, so I kind of grew up like, I didn't realize it when I was young, obviously I was just kind of like, well, whatever, mom's got to go cut hair and, big deal. And, so as I got older though, and I started to realize that I've got a lot of those traits. Like I never had a job inside a building. Like the thought of go to a place and do a thing for 8 hours and be stuck there fucking terrifies me. I mean, I can't, it makes me, I'm nauseous right now just thinking about the fact that I'm locked into a spot. And so I got in it's kind of funny because when you told your story yesterday, there are a lot of comparisons very similar that I don't even know. We've known each other for what, 10, 15 years now, whatever hell it's been.
Yeah. Well, 2010. Yep.
Yeah.
2011. Yeah.
Yeah. There was I was listening to yours and I was like, holy crap. Cause I started out as a groomer too. Bathing dogs.
I didn't even know that. Bathing dogs. I didn't even know that. That's funny.
I shit you not, dude. So I used to work at this pet shop in Garner, North Carolina called Pet Perfection. And I was the snake guy there. We had a whole breeding operation. It was like 40. I had 40 something snakes, a whole rat operation to feed the snakes and breeding and all this stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And I took care of all the exotic stuff. And so we were sitting in there one day and things were just kind of slow. There wasn't much going on. And I was like, the groomers got overwhelmed and they were like, hey man, can we show you how to bathe a dog? And I'm like, hell yeah. So, so I started apprenticing to groom. I was actually going to just go straight into grooming. This was when I was actually, I think it was probably about 15 because my mom was still driving me there every day. And so I'm in there, I'm working on, bathing dogs, prepping them, blowing them, getting them ready for the groomers to groom and all that kind of stuff.
Brush them out?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, man.
That stuff stunk so bad.
Yeah.
So, and I was enjoying it. I mean, like, I was like, cause I wanted to be around dogs. I've always had, man, every time I could get around a critter when I was young, I just wanted to talk to it. I was like, I wonder if I can make this thing, like, can I elicit a response from this, alien? And I was always good at it. Like, I was always successful with whatever I was trying to do, whether I was trying to get a dog to sit or whatever. While I was working at that pet shop, I actually, I'll get back to the grooming thing in a second, because I had acquired 2 really big snakes. I had a 12.5-foot Burmese python, and I had a 9-foot albino Burmese python. And my 12-footer bit me one day. And after
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it was, well, I went and feed it a rabbit, and I dropped it, and he missed, and he got my hand.
Wow.
And so he didn't try to like wrap me up or nothing. I mean, I had him right behind he had my hand like this, and I had him by the neck right there, and he was in the tank, so he was kind of contained. But he wouldn't let go, or she wouldn't let go. And
those things have fangs and stuff.
They got teeth. They don't have fangs, but all their teeth are recurved like this, so they're small, but they go in and they hook in like that. Like, so you can't just go yank and yank it off.
Wow.
Well, my mom freaks the fuck out and calls the law. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? So, and the police officers are scared to death. They walk in the house. I'm in the kitchen behind a little partition, where the big cage was. And like the police officer pops his head around the corner like this and goes, "You okay?"
I'm not a snake guy. That would be me for sure, man.
Dude, he had his fucking gun out. I was like, you can't shoot the motherfucker. My hand's in his mouth. So we're trying to wedge his mouth open with pencils and all kinds of shit. Anyways, in the moment, I lost my mind a little bit, but all I had to do was throw like some cold water in the snake's face and change the temperature, and they kind of go, "Oh, hey,"
Okay.
Anyway, so, and I promise there's a point to the story. So everything the snake lets go. Everybody goes home. Everything's chilled out. The next morning, my mom's walking out the door to go to work and said, "If that fucking snake is in this house when I get home, we're all going to have a nice pair of fucking boots." And slams the door shut. And I was like, oh, Lord, there's the end of my snake days. So I took the snake with me to work that day because I was still working at the pet shop. And I traded it in, or I brought it back to the shop and told the guy, hey, I told my boss, I was like, "Hey, it bit me last night and my mom freaked out. I can't keep it." He said, "Well, what do you want to do?" I was like, "Well," I said, "how about I give you that snake back and you give me that prairie dog?"
Oh my God. So you got to trade in.
Yeah, I traded in. I traded a 12-foot snake for a prairie dog.
How big is a prairie dog? Like,
it's like a little football. Yeah.
Snake will eat that thing probably, man.
Oh, hell yeah. 100%. Right. But I didn't have the snake anymore.
That's like moving down the food chain.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I was moving up the companion animal food chain.
Right. Yeah, true. That's true.
Because those things, dude, that thing was, so this is where kind of my first experience, other than a handful of dogs that I had messed around with. I was doing this exact same thing at the grooming facility. I was bathing them. I was, working with them on getting used to being tethered, used to being touched, used to do all that stuff. We did the exact same thing. It's so fucking crazy. We didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's what the power of this podcast. Look at there. We're learning shit about each other.
Something new.
And we got a 15-year friendship.
Yeah.
But the prairie dog, I think, was my first, like, let me see if I can make this thing do. So I taught it how to walk on a leash.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. I used to wear it. So they like to burrow, and so I took a hoodie and cut the sleeves off and I'd put him in the pocket in the belly. Mm-hmm. And he'd ride there all freaking day. I could take that sucker with me any damn where I went. And he was in his little cubby hole like a kangaroo. And so I'd take him out at the park, and I had it. Of course, it's so small you can't put a collar on them. But I put a little. They had this little cat harness, like this little thing goes around the chest, around the neck. And
that's what I was wondering. How do you what do you put on a prairie dog? All right.
So I took that sucker. I worked with him and worked with him and worked with him, and I kid you not, dude, I could take that thing anywhere and just put him on the ground and walk him on a loose leash.
That could be a whole that could be a whole business, man. Like you just, instead of prairie dog, just call them a pocket dog.
Right.
You're selling trained pocket dogs.
Yeah. Dude, it was freaking amazing. And I ended up having to get rid. I ended up with 2 of them, and I had to get. They had some kind of. This was back. It was a long time ago, man. They had some kind of measles thing or some mumps, or they had something, and they outlawed having them as pets.
Oh, well, there goes that business.
Yeah. Well, I think you can still have them now, but I mean, back then there wasn't a vaccine or a shot you could give them and all that kind of thing. And it killed me because, dude, I mean, me and this prairie dog, his name was Thumper. And dude, I would come home from work and he would start barking when he heard me. When my key hit the door, they made this funny little, that's what it sounded like. And he'd be on his back legs going, it was the cutest shit ever. And I mean, he just ran around the house.
You didn't take him to work around the snakes, I take it. Right?
No.
Just in case.
No. There was plenty of safe distance by counties between the prairie dog and the snakes. But that was my first kind of like, hey man, I kind of got something here. I don't know what I've got. What I figured out though, I would always set out, I would meet the goals that I set out to whether it was teaching a dog how to walk on a leash or I train a pig, same, you know, I mean, that's easier than training a dog, man. Them things are so smart that it's almost hard to eat them.
I remember something about a goat.
Yep.
Cooter,
I ain't got the cooter yet.
Yeah.
Cooter comes later in the story.
All right.
So I did I had a lot of how. I just didn't have any why. I didn't know why what I was doing was working. Like I didn't have that knowledge base yet. And so I'm grooming dogs. Well, I mean, bathing dogs, working at the pet shop, had every intention in the world of going into the grooming business. I was going to be a dog groomer. You know, that was just what I loved it. I was having a blast hanging out with the dogs all day. And then, you know, when I had time, I'd mess with the other critters and stuff. That's where I fell in love with having birds. I've got an African gray. And this is our second one. And, but I got attached to birds. They had a bird there named Katie. She's a little, I don't know, conure or something, but she was sweet as could be and talked all day and never went in a cage, just stayed on her little perch thing. And I was like, man, I got to get a bird one day. And yeah, so a lot of stuff happened. It was some really formidable years that I spent there messing with the critters and was definitely headed in that direction. And one day I had some friends of mine busted my balls about being a dog groomer, you know.
Oh, man.
Dude, this is just a lesson to anybody out there that's listening. If you're chasing your dreams and somebody's talking shit to you, tell them to shut the fuck up because it changed the whole course of my life. Now, I wouldn't go back and change it now, being at where I'm at in my life now, because I've got a great freaking life now, and I'll go into that story too. But at that time, I let somebody's opinion of what I was doing influence the whole trajectory of my life, you know, because I would still be a dog groomer, or I'd own a grooming shop or a chain of grooming shops or something. I mean, I loved what I was doing, and I let somebody's opinion of a guy doing that job influence my decisions, and it's something I regret. Well, I guess I can't say I regret it because, like I said, I got a great life now. I mean, it worked.
I mean, yeah.
So, but I was on the path. I could have saved myself a whole lot of sweaty ass, sunburnt, damn, busted up days on a construction site, because that's exactly where I went. I left out of there. I started running. Now by this time I'm like 17. I graduated when I was 17. I moved out. I'd already gotten my first house at 17 or trailer. So I'm out on my own, 17.
Yeah. Wait, you told me, didn't you tell me you drove a U-Haul to your high school graduation? Or
pretty much, yeah. I left graduation. I went home. I was like, y'all can go to your mama's house and let her wipe your ass some more. I'm going home. Yeah, I was dude, I'd have left home at 13 if I could, you know. And it wasn't because I had a bad home life. My mom was amazing. My home, she'd be happier than a puppy with 2 Peters if I still lived at home right now. So it was, I didn't flee because of a bad situation. I grew up fast, man. We had a tough life early in our childhood years. And it was like, I was already grown, even though I didn't have the years behind me. I had the mileage behind me already. So I was like I was chomping at the bit. Like, I gotta go. I got shit to do, And so I moved out at 17. I got a job with a gas line company. I learned how to run heavy equipment. I was running gas line every day. I got out of that for a minute. My dad used to, he retired from IBM. And I was like, man, I'm so sick of this hot, sweaty ass job and busting my, what's every day. I was like, so he got me a job at IBM. This is where I figured out that I was not cut out for traditional job titles.
9 to 5. Punching the clock. Yeah.
Dude, man, oh my God, it was so bad. Like I felt like I was in prison. I mean, I've never been to prison, but I would imagine that's what it's like. Like that was
working at IBM.
Yeah. I was standing in one spot all day with a computer in front of me where I just had to run some tests to figure out what was wrong with it, replace a couple of parts, send it down the line, do it again. And I was going crazy. I mean, whatever you want to call it, loopy, crazy, pissed off, pent up, whatever. And so I got out of there. I started driving truck. I was driving truck for a cabinet and laminate company, delivering shit to, doing a route every day, delivering to like Lowe's and stuff like that, and little cabinet shops and stuff all over North Carolina. Excuse me. And so at that time I was making about $28,000 a year at that point. My second son was on the way, and we had to move. We had to get a new house because I had just a little single wide trailer. It was great when I was a bachelor, and then when me and my first wife had gotten together. It was fine for us and one kid, but then the second kid, it was just, so we kind of upgraded. But I needed to upgrade my pay.
Yeah,
so,
right.
So I was looking through the newspaper. If y'all listen to this and never seen a fucking newspaper,
Google there used to be newspapers, phone books.
Yellow Pages.
Yeah, Yellow Pages. Yeah.
Imagine can you think of how many uses? How many uses there were for phone books? If you couldn't see, you sat in a phone book. I remember going to restaurants and sitting on phone books to see over the edge of the table just to go out to dinner. They didn't have booster seats; they had phone books. So, I'm looking through the paper. I found this ad said $40,000 a year to start. It was for a temp agency, and so I called him up and I said, "Dude, I don't give a damn what it is. I'm making 28. I got a kid on the way. 40 will change my fucking life." I said, yes, I don't care. I was shoveling shit, filing papers in a doctor's office. I don't care. At that time, before I did care, and I still cared, but I cared more about my kids, having what they needed over me being stuck in a building somewhere. So it turned out to be an interview with Carolina Concrete Pumping. And this is how I got into the pumping business. And it's all going to turn, I promise there's a point to all this crap. But it's the trajectory of why I work so hard now for me, because how hard I was forced to work for them for pennies. So the job was guaranteed $40,000 a year. I walk in, I do the interview, and I had some construction experience, I had some heavy equipment experience. I'm not even going to get into the concrete pumping business because most people don't know what it is, and
I never knew what it was till I met you. Now I see those things on the road all the time.
They're everywhere.
I had no idea how they got concrete way up in the top of tall buildings, man.
Yep. It sucks. Don't do it. The average career of a pump operator is 5 years.
Wow.
I did it for 13. And there's guys in there that have been doing it for 30, but there's like 5 of those guys on the planet.
Is it dangerous or is it like physically demanding? I know it's physically
all the above. I was in it for 13 years and buried 6 pump operators.
Wow. From on the job. On the job. Wow, that's crazy.
Either getting electrocuted, sticking the boom in the power lines, not paying attention.
Yeah.
I saw a mixer driver. So the pump pumps the concrete, but the big trucks with the big drums, they pour the concrete in the back of the pump and it pumps it. Well, one time, I won't tell a whole bunch of stories, just this one, because it's ingrained in my brain. The pump operator was, I don't know, whatever, neglectful, didn't think about it, wasn't paying attention, stuck his boom in the power line. And at that time, that pump was wireless. So the remote that you run the truck with used to be hardwired to the truck. And that's why operators would get killed, because they would stick the boom in the power lines without, by accident. And the electricity would run to a box that they're holding right here on their chest. It'd blow a hole in them like a window.
Jesus.
Yeah. And so they started making wireless ones. And so anyhow, this guy was wireless. So the operator didn't get hit with the voltage, but the boom went in the power line, charged the truck, jumped through the water in the concrete, energized the mixer truck, ground it out through the mixer driver, and blew his toes out the front of his boots.
Oh my God.
Dude, we walked back there. Wow. And of course, he's on the ground screaming, and there's toes and steel everywhere. Like, dude, it's horrible. It was one of the worst things I've ever seen. So anyway, don't be a pump operator.
Nice. Anyone listening to this while eating breakfast or lunch?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Don't be eating any Vienna sausages right now.
Now you're going to ingrain that in the brains of God knows how many people.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So
Vienna sausage will not be sponsoring this podcast.
Yeah, I don't think
I have on the hook right? Too, man. So that could have been our first $9.
It could have been the first, only $9. Anyways, so I get into that business, and they said guaranteed 40,000. That first year pumping concrete, I made $64,000.
That's pretty good. What year was that?
I was making $10 an hour.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So basically, I never saw my family again. They had a great life. They had all the stuff they needed, but I was pulling 80 to 86 hours a week on average.
That's insane, man.
It was bad. It was real bad. And in those days, man, I worked for that company I'd made it out of a pump, made it into management. I was late one day out of, I don't know, 6 or 7 years I was with them, and they fired me.
Really?
One day. Yeah. Like this is brutal. And I was running I was the maybe third or fourth guy under the owner of the company. Like, it wasn't like I was just some laborer, I was in management at that point. And, it was crazy. So anyways, all this comes to, that's when I really started feeling the burn. Like, okay, I can't do this employee shit anymore. Like, I'm gonna do it until I don't have to do it. And my kids were really small at the time. I was a single income family. I didn't have the luxury of, let's just go wing it and see if it works. Eventually, though, the universe provided. So I got out I did 11 or 13 years or so in the concrete pumping business. I got out of that. I went to start driving tractor trailer for Papa John's. I was delivering stock in stores up and down the East Coast at night and all that kind of thing. And I blew out my knee, couldn't go back. Did the whole thing, ACL replacement, all the recovery, this and that. But at that time, this is kind of where you start to come into the picture, because how our relationship started. I saw some ad on Google or something, or Craigslist or something. I don't know where the hell I found it originally. And I saw this dude with some whacked ass freaking name like Yo Jan Roven Bardenvelderburden.
Oh.
I was like, who the hell is this guy? But so again, here comes the dog thing coming back, right? But the way it all kind of went down, I had at this time, because I think my first email to you, I think, was, hey dude, I got 9 kids.
Yeah.
I don't have any fucking choice but to make this work. And at the time,
I'm charging $15 a lesson.
Right.
Like yeah.
So I was like, at the time I was in a relationship with a woman that had 5 kids. I've got 4 kids. It was a freaking circus. And, so that year that all went down, I had already made the decision that when I got injured, and I couldn't go back, lost that. It was the country song, man. I literally lost the house, lost the car, lost the relationship, lost everything. I had just gotten my tax return check, which was about $3,500. I had a stack of bills about this tall from being on workers' comp that was about $3,500.
Oh yeah, perfect.
And
of course it is.
And my tuition to Animal Behavior College, which was my first certification, was about $3,500. Like the universe just went, "Hey, fool, make a choice. You change your life right now." I took that pile of bills, I threw them in the burn barrel, set them on fire, paid my tuition to Animal Behavior College, and got my first certification and started Sally Said So professional dog training.
And let me jump in just real quick, just before we knew each other. The guy that started Animal Behavior College, I mean, I'll get him on one of these days. I mean, he's got a great story. Air Force dog trainer, set up dog training in every Petco in the United States. I mean, talk about a guy that thinks big. Oh, yeah. He's a good friend of mine, Stephen Applebaum, a good friend of Babette, who is Captain Haggerty's daughter. And everything kind of comes around. I mean, this is a small business, but I'll make sure to send him this and have him have a look at it, because he's always into it to see his students doing well.
Oh, so, yeah. Well, we're doing well. For real.
Yep.
It took a while, but we got there. It didn't do it by myself. There's a lot of people like yourself that helped me along the way. And so I've got a business card, I've got a skill set, and I got no business. So, and at this time, I'm sleeping in my car. And me and Sally huddled up in a damn 1991 or something Outback. Who makes that? Subaru.
Yeah. Next sponsor. That's a good story, man. They're all about dogs. So.
That Subaru saved my life and my dogs. I support Subaru of North America.
That's exactly right, man.
Or Australia, or wherever the fuck they're from.
So you had the business started, right?
Yeah.
And you named it after your dog.
Yeah, and named it after Sally. She was I don't know who saved who, but that, man, I tell you what, I'm not even gonna talk about her because I'm not crying on our second fucking podcast. She died 10 years ago, and I still can't talk about her without losing my shit. It was she was so special. But matter of fact, that's her collar hanging right here
in the truck.
Yep,
in the van. Cool.
Yeah, every dog's life we save is just another little notch in her collar, So I'm from Clayton, North Carolina, and I used to I went into Food Line one day. They got the security cameras up on the wall, and so I look up there. I just happened to catch the one out of the back of the grocery store. There was a dumpster, like the camera angle, and the dumpster was like this. So all this was blank. You couldn't see it. So every night when I didn't have somewhere to go, I'd pull in there up under that dumpster where the camera couldn't see me, and we'd sleep for a few hours and get the hell out of there before they opened up every morning, so we didn't get busted.
Food Line. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah, dude. I was not going back. This is where all that stuff from those formidable years of watching my mom be an entrepreneur, like, it wasn't even just entrepreneur spirit that she had. She had the, you ain't going to fucking tell me where to go, what to do, and how to do spirit. Like, it's entrepreneurial, yeah, but it was a little bit more personal. Like, it wasn't I'm going to set out to build a chain of, I'm going to make a new chain of hair salons or something. It was, no, I'm going to do everything I can for you not to tell me shit. Right.
I got
you. And I got that, honestly. That's a direct genetic link. And, so there was, at that stage, man, there was absolutely no freaking way on earth that I was gonna turn back. I mean, that was I listened, I respect what the universe did and wiped my slate clean and said, here you go. My kids were a little bit older. They were not independent or out of the house, but they weren't babies anymore either. They were, 10, 12, 15, around in those ages. So when they came over on the weekends, I would stay at my mom's house. And so it looked like, everything's doing good, I'd drop them off and hide behind Food Lions and dumpster. Maybe, look, again, my mom, today, I'm almost 50 years old. If I called and said, Mom, I want to move back in, she said, okay, your room's already cleaned out. Come on. Like there was never a time that I couldn't go. My pride would not let me. There was no way I was going back. I was not going backwards. So, I ended up getting this old house. This thing was built in like 1901. I think the rent was $400 a month. I couldn't afford that at the time. A friend of mine had just ended a relationship and needed a place to stay. So I was like, okay, cool, man. You can stay here. It's going to cost you $400 a month. And I'll take care of the Wi-Fi. I'll make sure there's groceries in the fridge and yada, yada, yada. So I luckily he was like, okay, cool. So he moved in with me, and man, we had some adventures in that house, boy. Good God, dude. This thing, the latest update on that house was 1949 when they put running water in it.
Nice.
Yeah. This was just an old bunk. It was a bunk house for farmers. There was no, it was no kitchen. It was just a house full of bedrooms. That was it. Just a house full of bedrooms. And so we turned one into the living room. One was my room. One was his room. One was the kids. Two were the kids' rooms. Dude, if we had a washer, we didn't have a dryer. There was a stove there, but all it did was hold up the little gas burner that I had because none of the stove eyes worked. It was right in the middle of a cow pasture. So in the middle of summer, we're talking thousands of flies.
Yeah.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah. Every morning, 2 fly swatters. And then I'd walk back. I'd just go get coffee and come back to the same room. Sally loved it though. Sally loved it, man. There was like sky raisins everywhere. She was on the ground going chomp 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 chomp.
Sky raisins. I haven't heard. That's one I haven't heard, man.
Yeah. So, in the wintertime, man, it was so fucking cold in this house, dude. We had no heat. We had no air conditioning. It was like I walked into the damn kitchen one night to grab a beer. I open up the fridge and I yell at Dave. I'm like, Dave, I said, get in here. He's like, well, he comes in there. Now, mind you, at this time, we walked around with comforters. Like all you could see was this right here. Everything else was a blanket because it was like 20 in the house. I opened up the fridge. I'm like, it's warmer in the fridge than it is in our house. We used to open up the refrigerator door like this. It's like it was a campfire. It was 34 in the refrigerator.
That's too much, man.
So, and I got a million stories. Like the worst, there was 2 that made me almost change my mind. One, it was like super extra, and we're in North Carolina. It don't get that damn cold. It's cool, but it's not like frigid most of the time. So I woke up one morning, it was like 9 in my bedroom, and that was rough. And I mind you, at this time we were able to keep the roof over our head and keep the power on, but that was it. Like I had 1 blanket, I had 1 towel, I had a handful of drawers and socks. So I put the blanket on the bed. I put every piece of clothing that I owned as a second layer, and I stole a couple of Dave's towels, and so I had a 1 blanket, all of my clothes, a layer of towels, and me and Sally never got out of bed. We were in the bed for like 3 days except to eat and use the bathroom because it was fucking freezing, man. It was so cold, and I almost tapped then and said, okay, maybe this shit ain't gonna work. Like that was a rough patch. The worst one though, where I almost gave in was my kids came over. I had my kids that weekend, and dude, I was broke, bad broke. Wait, I'm talking about I was in deficit in my bank account. I did not have any money. I owed money to my bank account. And I had one, like I said, I had that one little gas burner and like a tank from a gas stove, you know?
Yeah.
Or a gas grill. And I couldn't even afford to go fill that tank up. So I literally went out in my yard and picked up a pile of sticks, pine cones, whatever I could find, and started a fire so I could boil a pot of water so I could cook my kids a 10-cent bag of oodles and noodles for dinner.
Yeah.
That sucked.
I know that. I heard that story, man. That's
yeah,
crazy.
man.
Yeah.
And it's fucking true too, man. It was bad. And so I was like, that night I went to bed. I just cried myself to sleep that night. I was like, that's it, man. I mean, tomorrow I got to go get a job. I mean,
J-O-B. Yeah.
I was not looking forward to that. But again, the universe, whatever you want to call it, provided, because I woke up that morning, phone rang, and I booked the job. And I said, that's it. I'm never looking back ever again. And at the time, I still had my Class A CDLs. And I had just gotten my renewal in the mail. And I let that thing sit on my kitchen table for, I don't know, 2 weeks. I look at it every day going, okay, if this don't work, I can get a job driving a truck by the end of the day. I mean, I had a great driving record. I had great, I was reputable, whatever you want to call it, whatever that is.
Yeah. References, blah, blah.
Yeah. So I kept looking. I'd look at it and man, it just make me sick. I'd look at it and I just feel nauseous. I'd be like, man, something's just not right, you know? And at this time, this is a few months after the cooking oodles and noodles on the fire thing. And after having met you and you were giving me some pieces of advice, try this, try that. So things were, we were still well below poverty, but we won't like eating dirt sandwiches yet, you know? And, one morning I woke up with a little bit of an attitude. I went in there, I picked up that stupid freaking CDL piece of paper. I ripped it in half, threw it in the trash. And that was the end of the game. No more plan B. That was when I really caught fire on my ass. I was always motivated because look, remember, I made $64,000 making $10 an hour working for somebody else.
Yeah.
Well, how hard do you think I'm going to work? How hard do you think I'm going to work for me?
Yeah, that's work.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so when I let my CDLs lapse, I tore it up, I threw it away, I got rid of plan B. Dude, there was a whole nother level that I wasn't even aware of that I had in me, you know, and it came out and everything changed, man. I went from my first year in business, I made $14,000. My child support that year was $17,000.
Yeah.
Figure that shit out.
Yeah.
So that math don't work.
Yeah.
But the year after, I doubled it, I tripled it, I quadrupled it, and but in no time, you know, we were much better off. But like if anybody's listening to this and you've been through some hard stuff and don't, man, just if you're passionate about it, you can't give up, man. You can't give up. Even if you got to cook your kids a 10-cent bag of oodles and noodles, which I found out the other day, them bitches are like 80 cents a pack now. I'd have been screwed. I didn't have 8 dimes. I had one. You ever split a bag of oodles and noodles between 4 growing boys? One bag of oodles and noodles?
Yeah.
It's nuts. So, but that whole thing, man, that whole work ethic that from doing what I love to start with, to changing up careers, to when I was running gas line, I was the best guy at the company. I had my own crew. I was the youngest foreman. When I was pumping concrete, I was the best concrete pump operator. I did everything that I had to do to make sure that my kids had income and everybody was taken care of. But man, on the inside, I was like, dude, as soon as I get a freaking chance, I am out of here, man. And I guess that's the gist of the story. Now, fast forward 15 years, got started in 2009. Fast forward 15 years or whatever it's been. Now we're the largest privately owned dog training company in North Carolina. We've got 15 full-time dog trainers. We're in 175 homes a week. And I'm sitting in my Sprinter van, which is sitting in front of my tiny house, which is sitting in front of the ocean.
Front of the ocean. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's, I've achieved and accomplished every single goal, task, dream, and anything that I've set out to accomplish, except for, maybe losing some weight. That one's whooping my butt a little bit, but that's why we're here.
And making $9 on a podcast.
And making $9 on a podcast.
Yeah.
But every one of those steps. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you tracked me down, I mean, I was just getting started. I was still writing my my training manual. My daughter was a newborn. Her mother was working, and I was working on starting a business. She would sit on my desk in her carrier, and I'd be working away typing. I mean, that manual, what did it end up at? Like 300 some odd pages, 300 8x11 pages of stuff. Right. And so I built myself as a school and a consultant because I had started many dog training companies, and that was kind of how you found me. And you're like my only consulting client, except I never charge you anything. Like my kid's mom would come home and say, "What kind of consult?" Like I'm like, "Oh yeah, this guy Shane, like Shane this, Shane that." She goes like, "How much is he paying you?" I said, "Nah, I mean he doesn't have any money, man. He's not paying me." And she was like, "What kind of consultant? What the hell are you like? Blah blah blah." But I will say that I mean, we do it to this day. I have every wild ass harebrained idea of like working with vets. You know, doing. I mean, maybe we don't want to get too into like the details of exactly what we do, but every idea I had,
it's going to cost you $9.
Yeah. Every idea I had, you did it, and some of them worked and some of them didn't. But the ones that worked, I use them on my other trainers. And my other trainers, you're kind of a validation for them. So while I never charged you for consulting, I did charge you to come out and learn training, which you figured out in like 5 minutes.
Dude, I was so freaking pissed. In a good way, because I came up there to Delaware. I was like, I can't even afford to get to Delaware. Never mind, so I mean, like this was a massive undertaking to be able to do that at that stage of my career. And you told me that one thing at the table, like 5 minutes in, I was like, you son of a bitch, you could have told me that shit over the fucking phone.
You were sitting there like this.
I gotta go home.
Yeah. I said, what's wrong with you, man? Said, I've had enough. I gotta go. Who was there with you? Do you remember who was because there were a couple other people.
I can't remember her name, but it was the one from Asheville.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's right, because we went back to Asheville and did some training up there. Yeah. That's right. Yeah. So
but dude, at the time I had like 25 active clients, or I had about 25 clients total at the time when I came up there for that meeting. And when you said what you said, and it hit me instantaneously. That's why I was rocking. I was like, I gotta leave. I gotta go home.
I mean,
when you said why, I said, that's all I needed. That unlocked my box. And I called, dude, I got home. I called all 25 of my clients at that time and said, I got to come back. And they're like, well, we're happy. We're done. I'm like, no, you're not. You're not happy yet. You're going to be happy. You're going to be happy.
But
you're not happy right now. You think you're happy. You're not really happy. I got to show you some shit. And I went back. I went back to every client that would allow me to go back and implement a couple of those things. And they were like, holy shit. And I was like, that was magic. Yeah. It was amazing. Yeah. Man, if I swear, like if, we've had the greatest relationship over these years, whether friendship and, business ideas and kicking stuff around back and forth. But man, you made I can't even, I don't know if the words have been created in English yet for the gratitude that I have for what you did for me at the beginning and teaching me a few of those lessons that I would have still made. I think I would still be a dog trainer today. I would not be anywhere near the success that I've created, that we've had in this business.
Well, yeah, it was a good thing. I mean, I wouldn't either. That's the thing. I mean, I was able, when I flipped my model to bringing in the trainers, setting up the business for them, teaching them the business end of it and everything else. You were the one that I pointed to and said, hey, you know, before you make a decision, talk to Shane.
Right.
He'll tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly. He'll tell you that it works if you work it. It's no different than dog training, right? Dog training doesn't work unless you actually get up and work with your dog and do the stuff that you're telling people to do. So you were the one that did everything. I tell people, I say, man, I remember telling Shane, if I told Shane that this is, and you know me, I say the same things all the time, but I said, if I told Shane, put your underwear on top of your head and walk into a veterinarian's office backwards, you would do it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we'd be like, well, that didn't work. Okay. You know, or maybe it works.
Ain't no shame in this game. I tried.
Yeah. What did work? I mean, and then you have helped motivate a lot of my trainers. I've sent trainers to you, just to do a ride along, just a day in the life of Shane. What would you tell them? They get in the car, you'd say what?
Welcome to the machine.
The machine. Welcome to the machine.
Welcome to the machine.
I've got several really successful trainers that are successful because of watching you do it. Because sometimes it's not enough for me to say, do this, do this, do this, and I can't be everywhere at once. And you were the one that said, yep, send them on out. Never charge me anything, never charge them anything. And so it comes around sometimes. And you know, I tell my kids' mom that all the time. I say, yeah, you know, I didn't charge them anything then, but I got it paid back about 1 million times over the years, you know. And that's friendship aside. That's just
That's just the business side. Yeah. So it is crazy, man, because when you go out on your own, I mean, if you're listening to this and you're thinking about, you know, starting your own business, or if you already own your own business, I mean, coming up in future episodes, we're going to be, you know, interviewing other entrepreneurs from all walks of life, all types of businesses, all types of backgrounds. So you're going to hear tons of these stories for the listeners out there. But man, there is nothing more terrifying. There's nothing more rewarding than going out and making your own way. And don't let anybody tell you to do shit. Like, I am so, like, if I even feel the slightest bit of do this thing, I am like, man, I'm burned up. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I'm running this shit.
I mean, my best friend from high school growing up is he does rain gutters. You know, I mean, he's a craftsman, putting them on Victorian houses, all you know, welded together and everything. It's not that shit that comes out of the back of a truck like I got on my house. He and I used to talk, you know, and he'd be like, so every now and then he'd say, God, some days I wake up and I say, God damn, I hope today isn't the day everybody figures out I have no idea what I'm fucking doing. So, I mean, and he knows what he's doing, but I mean, as far as running the business, running the company, doing this, doing that, you know, so I think
a lot of people fall into that, man, you know, especially in the dog training business. I mean, I know some people that are just amazing handlers, and they couldn't book a job, they couldn't book a client or a group class to save their freaking lives. I know. And then it's conversely, it's the other way. There's some folks out there, amazing marketers, amazing business people, but don't know shit about dogs. You put a leash in their hands, and they're like, what am I going to do with this? You know?
Well, and then unfortunately, the world, and we know this, you know, you and I know this because remember what? Failure's the greatest teacher, right? I've been saying that all the time. Amen. I mean, there are so many predators out there in this business, business in general, that come in and they tell you, I can do this, I can do that, I could get you this, I can get you these clients, I can get you this, I can get you that. Just pay me this much money up front, and I'll get it done. And my model, personally, that's not how I work, man. I get paid after you get paid. I will deliver. When I deliver, you pay me what you give me what we agreed on. But I'm going to do the work first, and I'm going to prove myself first. And I have yet to run across any so-called marketer with the balls to pull that. And we have gotten collectively screwed a few times, haven't we, man? And let's not name names.
No.
Like we have gotten, people promise the moon and they deliver fucking Pluto, and Pluto's not even a planet anymore. No argument.
I think
maybe it is a
oddly,
planet.
I think that's a dog.
Yeah, it's a dog. Yeah, we got some dogs, that's for sure, from some of those people. So
yeah, dude, it was yeah. I mean, but look, I think that's just part of owning a business, growing a business. Like, I mean, you're gonna find somebody's gonna find you, and just have that one little hook that goes, all right, I'll try that.
I'll try it.
But after a couple of those, you get really wise. There's
you don't fall for the same bullshit pitch twice. That's for sure. But these guys are marketers, man. They got different ways to twist that pitch around. But maybe we got wise after the last character we ran across. Who knows?
Yeah, well, 100%. I mean, that's from that. There's nothing that we don't do in house anymore. There's zero.
Yeah, I do it in house.
There is zero outside service based stuff.
Who can you trust in the end? Right?
No, but
yourself.
You're looking at him.
Yourself, exactly, man.
I'm looking at him in that.
You know if the work's getting done or not getting done, man. That other stuff is snake oil. Yeah. So
and that is your team. It's your team too, man.
Yeah, it's your team.
Good
for
God,
sure,
man. I've got the most amazing. My management staff, Kelly in particular, she's been with me for about 8 years. She came to me. She's 20 years old. Right out of college, or 21 maybe, right out of college with a zoology major. She went to a couple of dog training places, didn't like them, called me, and I was like, man, this girl's got potential. And and now she runs Sally Said So.
Yeah,
like, the trainer's got a problem. I mean, exactly. The trainer's got a problem, they go to her. If she can't solve it, then she comes to me, because I'm fucking going fishing. That's how it works.
Well, I got the same thing. I mean, without Kristen, I don't know what I'd be doing. I wouldn't be sitting here. I'd be sitting, micromanaging all kinds of stuff. And I still micromanage. I told you this is the year of micromanagement, and I am micromanaging a lot more than I did last year. But she runs it. She does the whole thing, and she started, almost fresh out of high school. She was driving her dad's old station wagon. Mm-hmm. And that thing broke down, and I needed her. I was so desperate for her to keep showing up for work and everything that we lent her the money to buy her next car, which is still a piece of crap. Now she owns. now she's got 2 kids, owns a beautiful house. She's married. I mean, she's she's family. To me.
Yep.
So
yeah.
So,
that's how I've got an office manager too, Ann, who handles. She fields probably 50 phone calls a day, maybe more, plus all the emails, does all the scheduling. Like, it could not run as well as it does, or free me. What it did is it freed me up. Yeah, I was always a big believer in, I've got to start working on the business instead of in the business.
In the business, yeah.
Yeah. And a few things have changed. Like, well, one, I got the right team. I quit training trainers. Kelly trains them. She does it better than I do. I quit answering the phones because Ann can do it better than I can do. Some of the hard lessons in business ownership for me have been realizing that I'm not the only talented person in this team.
Yeah, but you got to find them, and
you got to find them.
Even that's trial and error too, right?
Of course.
I mean, you find them. It works. It doesn't work. I've had trainers training my trainers, and some did an okay job, some didn't. I got a great, I got Beth now, who is, she's 20 million times the dog trainer I am. I mean, I love dogs, man. But I'm not. Beth lives, eats, drinks. She's she's part dog. She calls herself a high drive dog. So, and she's third place in the United States championships in obedience training. I mean, wow. there is nothing she doesn't know about dogs, and she trains my trainers. And I mean, admittedly, there's a few she scares off, but I'd rather they be scared off right off the bat than sit there and deer in the headlights and then go out there and completely fail.
You remember that one we sent? Remember when that one we sent back the same day?
Oh my God! Yeah, that was
she landed
because you were training that one for me. You were
going
to train a couple trainers.
This ain't the one, dude.
You called me on the phone. I said, "Oh God!" And I mean, I had to buy that plane ticket. I remember, but it was worth it. I said, "Yep." You just sent her, turned her right around. I don't even think she was there for 8 hours.
Yeah, she got an 8-hour tour of North Carolina from the airport to the Airbnb back to the airport.
Yeah, I remember. I mean, there is a long list of I got 30. I mean, I have 30 business owners now because I've got several of them are running 3 or 4 markets now,
right,
or multiple markets. But for me to get that number up together, there's a lot of I kissed a lot of frogs, man. That's for sure. Yeah. So. Yeah, well, what do we got? We got hopefully your dude that's been on Diners and Drive-Ins and Dives, we get on pretty quickly.
Yeah,
hopefully
have some of
my trainers coming on.
Yep.
I've got people, just like us, totally different business. How did they do it? What did they overcome? Blah blah blah. And then I'm always up for. When we were testing this out, I sent some. I sent some of the clips to people, and they're like, "I want to be on that thing. I want to be on that thing.
Right.
I want to tell my story." So I think it'll be. We'll see how it keeps going, man.
100%. It's going to be fun. We're going to make $9 whole.
$9, man. So far we're 9 short, plus in the hole for setting all this crap up. So
yeah,
$9 net, not gross, man. That's so I just raised the bar, man, a little bit. Yeah,
we got to get to work. We got to find some personalities.
Yeah, exactly. So some of those magic marketers. Yeah.
There you go.
So,
there you go.
All right.
I'm sure you're going to own that. I'm sure you're going to own that domain in about 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's right. I guarantee that domain's taken. Yeah, one of my 300 domains. That's a great idea. Let me buy it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess we're right at a minute, man. So we'll sign off. I did good with my.
You did great.
Yeah,
you didn't whack any tables today.
I've been careful. I've been thinking about it now, man. So, well, I did watch last podcast a few times. So you, I couldn't hear you when I was like droning on about myself, but I did hear you in the podcast saying, "Quit hitting the table, quit hitting the table." So yeah.
Yeah, because in here is like thunder.
Yeah, I know. I hear you. So it didn't sound that bad on the actual podcast, but
okay.
I there's a thing that you could take out background noise, but preferable to not blow your eardrums out while you're trying to talk. So listen. So okay, man. Next one. Hopefully, next one we get your buddy on, and but we'll drop another one in next week for sure.
Yep. All right, man.
Talk to you.
Have a good one.
Yep. Bye.
Hey, and in closing, we'd like to say, be the person that your dog thinks you are.
Yes. And put your SallySaidSo.com is the website. Your website.
Yep.
SallySaidSo.com. All right, man. Talk to you later.
Later.